we're going to be talking about today is mechanics. And the coin toss, not only the rules, but also the mechanics of the coin toss. So what we're going to look at first and foremost is just the rules. And then we're going to get, like we see it in the enactment, we're going to get into the different ways. And I know there's a lot of people out here do different forms of coin toss. We're trying to get consistency on how the coin toss is done and why we want to see that consistency, but also look at the rules, because I see a lot of games where we're everywhere. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. Now remember, we're talking about game officials' educational perspective. We're trying to get everybody mindset to start thinking like a game official. All right, so we know many people, they become an official, and without any instructions, they get out there, they fake it until they make it, how we like to say. Can y'all hear me? I didn't have my thing plugged in. Okay. I don't know if y'all heard me or not, but we're talking
I heard
about.
you.
All right, good,
I
good.
can hear.
Cool. It was working without the mic. All right. So we're going to get into the PowerPoint. What I was going to say before was being an official is a skilled position. All right. And what I mean by that is, in my opinion, it takes someone who is skilled to teach and train somebody in that position. This is, as an official, again, people think, oh, because I coached, because I played, because I watch football on TV, and I'm a big fan, I know everything there is to be an official, because in most people's mind, an official is somebody who just throw flags and blow whistles. That's it. That's all to an official's responsibility. But it's more into that, and that's why we're doing these little trainings to teach you what it really means to be a game official. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Like always, this is something that you're going to always see. We're going to start off with. Players who practice long hours deserve competent game officials who have a complete understanding of the letter as well as the spirit of and intent of the rules, and who administer them consistently and fairly. A mantra of mine is teams train hard, officials train harder, or they should train harder. Why? Because we're out there, we're getting paid, and most of these amateur athletes, it's changed now, and coaches are not being paid. We are, so we should be out there and know our jobs. All right, we're talking about the coin toss. Some of the objectives to create consistency throughout PGO on how to administer the coin toss correctly, to develop a working knowledge on how to read and understand the rule book, to understand the importance of the game officials manual and how rules affects mechanics. So in your rule book, if you have a rule book, in Rule 3, Section 2, Article 1 and Article 2 discuss the coin toss. All right. Now, I want you to pay attention, because rule books are very wordy, and you can start reading it. Sometimes it's redundant, and a lot of times you can read it and it's glossed over what it's saying, because it's, for some people, it's like watching paint dry. It's very difficult because the way the rule books are written. But we're going to read these two articles here. Each half of the game shall be started by a kickoff. Before the scheduled game starting time, the referee, in the presence of the field captains, shall instruct the visiting captain to give heads or tails choice before the coin toss. If the coin toss or simulated coin toss is held on a playing field, it shall be held 3 minutes prior to the scheduled game starting time, or otherwise specified by the individual state associations. At the coin toss or simulated coin toss, conducted 3 minutes prior to the scheduled starting time on the field of play, as in Rule 321, Not more than 4 team members in game uniform, captains from each team may be present at the coin toss. Only one from each team shall be designated as a spokesperson. All other team members in game uniform must remain outside the field of play. Now, when I read this, it's like it's redundant on the 3 minutes, and it's like, okay. And this is where, when you start, if you ever start reading the rule book, which you should, it can be very wordy. You can gloss over that. So it's very important to learn how to separate what you're reading as such, okay? And we know about at the coin toss. Now it's 3 things out of all those out of those 2 paragraphs. It's 3 important factors that we want to focus on. 1, not more than 4 team members in game uniform from each team. You may see them bring out 5 or 6, but there's no more than 4 team members or captains are allowed in this coin toss. 2, only one of them can talk. Who is speaking captain, stand next to the referee. And 3, all other team members in game uniform must remain outside the field of play. Now we're going to focus on that one first, the last one. Now, if we go back, I'm going to show you something real quick before I go there. It says all team members in game uniform must remain outside the field of play. What is the field of play? What does that mean? And so we want to go to Rule 2 and with the definitions and find out what the field of play is. The field of play is the area within the sidelines and the goal line. All right. So all team members in game uniform must remain outside the field of play. We see players locking arms and walking on the field with solidarity. As in the pic you see here, with all the players and teams come in, this is not allowed in high school federation. So the area within the boundary lines and the sidelines is this space here, not the end zone. If players are in the end zone, they're fine, but absolutely no players in the field of play. Okay, so we see either they're locking arms with solidarity, or they're trying to intimidate the other team by coming out with a show of force. As our wing officials, and if we look at here in the future, I mean, in a little bit, your responsibility is to keep all players off the field during the coin toss. So, as you see it in this picture here, all players on the sideline. Again, they're allowed to be in the end zones if need be, but they cannot be on the field of play. So let's talk about the coin toss. I've seen this in games where the referee be like, heads or tails, call it in the air. And that's something that I don't know where they get that from, but we don't call it in the air, right? The coin toss is called heads or tails before the coin is tossed, right? That's a very important factor. Make sure if you're the referee, if you're doing the coin toss, you ask them heads or tails prior to tossing the coin. So let's talk about the next portion of Article 3. The winner of the toss shall have first choice options for the first half, or to defer and have first choice for the second half. The options for each half shall be to choose whether the team will kick or receive, or choose the goal his team will defend. Now, what I want you to notice, even when you saw the enactment, they said kick, receive, defend the goal, or defer. Understand, kick and receive is part of one choice option. It's not A, B, or C. There is a C, which is deferred, and we'll look at that in the game officials manual. But kick or receive is part of the same choice. All right, it's not separate. All right. So if somebody said we decide to kick, then the only choice that the defender have is what goal to defend. If they choose to receive, then the only choice the other team has is a goal to defend. All right. If they choose to defer their choice options, then the other team got A or B to choose from. They can choose to receive, or they can choose to kick, or they can choose to defend the goal. All right. And that's how you need to recalibrate your mindset when it gets to that. Kick and receive is part of the same choice option of A. So, again, breaking it down, choose whether to kick or receive, choose what goal to defend or defer, and have first choice for the second half. Okay. Now, let's talk about what happens. Well, again, very young in my years as a game official. I remember it was, everything was I got you, or it was like rule book, strictly by the rule book. Remember last week we talked about officiating styles, rule book style, preventive style, laissez-faire style, and advantage disadvantage style. We talked about 4 different styles of officiating last week. So I remember, I'm a young official, young referee, and I will go to the coin toss, and I lay it out. You want to receive, kick, or defer, or defend a goal, and the winner will be like, I want to kick, and I'll be like, are you sure? And they say, yeah. And I was so proud. I go to the coach, hey coach, you're going to be kicking both halves, because they chose to kick. And you're like, what? And because people thought, because you watch TV and you think if you kick the first half, that means you receive the second half. That's what a lot of players and coaches think. Well, if you're kicking the first half, you're automatically receiving the second half, and that's not true. You have a choice between kick and receive. And once you make your choice on the next half, the other team get 2 choices. Kick or receive, or defer to the second half. So they can actually choose to receive and not kick. You see? So as a preventive official and preventive style, when we have that coaches meeting, and we go to coach, hey coach, if you win the coin toss, you want to receive or defer. I'm leaving out kick because it confuses people. If the coach is savvy, he want to kick, he'll let me know, no, I understand what it means, I want to kick. Now, side note, if you're up north and you're on a very windy field, like the wind blows footballs, you may choose to kick as a strategy. Okay? Kicking is a strategy if you're kicking into the wind. However, it's not always a strategy everyone uses or know how to utilize. So I just leave it simple. You're going to receive or defer. All right? We're going to receive or we're going to defer. I say, cool. Now, if the other team wins the coin toss, elect to receive, which goal you want to defend? All right? That's all I need to know. So now I already have what the coach's decisions are. So when I get to that coin toss, I'm going to ensure that that captain make the right choice. All right. Now, again, preventive officiating is actions or words by game officials that prevent unnecessary issues or heartaches that can be avoided by simply talking to players and coaches in advance. All right. In the mechanics manual, or a game officials manual, I like to call it mechanics manual, preventive officiating facilitates a smooth conduct of a game within the rules. All right. So it's very important to find out what the coach want to do especially in youth football, because the kids would say all kind of things, right? And I had to learn that over the years, because I tell you, boy, oh, coach, he decided to kick. You're going to be kicking both halves. I was so proud that I didn't trick the player in it, but I knew what the player really wanted to do, and I just, hey, that's what the rule book says. And the coach get attitudes, and players get upset, and let's just stop that type of I got you, and let's just simplify it for these players and coaches. All right, so the loser should have first choice option for the winner. For the half the winner of the toss did not select. The team having the first choice option for a half should exercise the remaining option. Again, if the initial winner of the coin toss elected to defer, then the other team get to choose between A and B. And then second half, the other team gets to choose between A and B. If the team that won the coin toss chose an option out of A, you only got to ask the team, the only option is left is option B. It's like, I know some coaches, some referees be like, so which way you want to kick? That's not the option. The option is which goal you want to defend. Because we already know you're going to kick, because the team already chose to receive. All right? Now, in the rule book, it says that the game in Rule 1, Section 1, Article 4, the game is administered by game officials whose titles and duties are stated in the National Federation Football Game Officials Manual. Each state may determine the number of game officials to be used. Now, what does that mean? In a high school, typically in standard high school games, there's 5 positions: referee, umpire, head linesman, line judge, and bike judge. In youth, you typically don't see the bike judge until you get to the semifinals or state championship. Some leagues only use 3 officials, and they can be umpire, headsman, line judge, or it can be referee, umpire, head linesman, or it could be referee, head linesman, line judge. It could be any of those variations in 3-person mechanics. But the thing is, what I really want to focus here is just having the rule book is not enough. The rule book is just part of what it means to be an official. The other part, to know what you're supposed to do on the field, comes out of the game officials manual. Now, I know a lot of officials, they love to make stuff up, right? There's a saying, in the absence of instructions, people make things up. And I see a lot of officials just make up mechanics, make up what they're supposed to do on the field. Why? Because they never took the time to get into the books and to read. And here at PGO, we evaluate you by the books. I don't care what you do. I don't care how you do it over at your high school association, although they should be using the manual. We know a lot of high school associations do not. They make up their own mechanics, and a lot of youth officials make up their own mechanics. But my question is this: if everybody's making up something, how can you evaluate everyone? Because everybody's doing what's right in their own eyes. So how am I supposed to come evaluate you if you decide you want to do it the certain way? So officially, PGO, we go by the books. Anytime I talk to you or try to give you instructions, it's coming straight out of the manual. Right? I don't make this stuff up. I don't have my own officiating, like I sit on a mountain and come up with some really cool things. No, I'm telling you what's in the manual, which I expect you to know. And when you get down to evaluating you, that's how we evaluate you. Everybody on the same page. I don't care about how many years of experience you have. All I care about your performance. Your personality don't trump performance. Okay? You running on the field and you hustle, don't trump your performance. I want to know, have you read the book and do you know your mechanics? And when we're trying to evaluate for playoffs and Super Bowls and all these other games, I evaluate you by what it says in the book. So I suggest you read the book. Now, in the beginning of the mechanics manual, it says, because groups vary in their requirements, mechanics for 4, 5, or 7 person crews that are contained in this manual. It goes, every game official should study this manual to complete understand the basic of the mechanics. I put that in here because we hear this word mechanics. And I remember, I love defining things. I define what a game official is because it makes more sense to me. And so I'm like, mechanics. When I tell a new official, you got to know your mechanics. What does that mean to a new official? You got to know your mechanics. So guess what? I had to make a definition for mechanics. So this is what my personal definition of what mechanics are. Mechanics is a system by which game officials communicate, determine areas of focus, and position and movement on the football field. All right. If you're a new official and we're about to do a kickoff, you're like, where do I stand? Where do I go? What do I do? Guess what? The mechanics manual would tell you all of that. On a run play, if I read as a run play, the mechanics manual will tell you what you're supposed to do. If it's a pass play, the mechanics manual will tell you what you're supposed to do. If it's a field goal, the mechanics manual tells you what you're supposed to do. From throwing a flag to stopping the clock, the mechanics manual is very detailed, precise. There is no ambiguity. There is no judgment calls or judgment in mechanics. The mechanics is the mechanics. Now, that's why I evaluate you off mechanics first. Because you may see a hole. You may say, well, I didn't think that was a hole enough to call. Well, I have to respect that because, as we read last week, Rule 119 gives you the authority to make a decision on rule infractions. So if you say, I saw it, but I didn't think it was enough to call, I have to respect your decision. If you say, well, I saw it, but I didn't think it was enough to call pass interference, I have to respect your decision. Or it is pass interference, but when it get down to mechanics, there is no ambiguity. There is no judgment, or I feel like doing it like this, not like this. The mechanics manual is very precise, very prescribed, and there is only one way to do it. With PGO, there's only one way to do it. That is by the manual. So, question. Where does the referee supposed to stand during the coin toss? According to the manual, and this is a scan of it, if you look down the corner, you see the scoreboard where the scoreboard is facing. So, according to the manual, the referee should be facing the scoreboard. Now, does it matter if he's not facing the scoreboard? Is the whole world going to fall apart? No, it's not. Many of y'all have been doing coin toss all kinds of different ways in the world that falls apart. But according to the manual, the referee faces the scoreboard. Now, let's talk about the coin toss. Now, I know a lot of referees like to mimic what they see on TV in college, NFL. We're great at mimicking what we see on TV. But I want you to look at that highlighted part there. And it says that, one, the referee, this is referring to the referee's responsibilities, in the presence of the umpire, instruct the visiting captain to give heads or tails before the coin toss. And then this is what the referee is supposed to tell the captain. If the coin is not caught, you will toss again. What does that mean? Well, if I got to tell a captain that if it's not caught, I have to toss again, that implies that I have to catch the coin and not allow the coin to drop on the ground. So, in high school mechanics, and again, some high schools vary, but according to the manual, it's supposed to be caught, not dropped. And if you notice in that enactment, you're not even supposed to flip it over. You know, you want to catch it and then flip it one more time. You catch it, and the reason why you cover your hands is to ensure you don't drop it. So you flip it, you catch it, you cover to make sure it don't fly out of your hand, then you reveal it. That's how it should properly be done, not hitting the ground. Am I going to give you an F if you let it hit the ground? No, but we're looking for consistency, and it's really supposed to be caught, not dropped. Think about it. What if you throw it in the air, it hits the ground, it rolls, or it catches in the grass in the straight up and down? Okay, it should be caught right now. If you look at section C, and you really see this in the video, he did it afterwards, but we're talking about mechanics, right? Mechanics is how we communicate and how areas of focus. So when the winner of the coin toss, let's say, oh, you chose heads, you win. You're supposed to immediately put your hand on the winner's shoulder, right? So the other officials who are trying to keep everybody off the field and they're in their position, when they see you put your hand on that player's shoulder, on that captain's shoulder, they know who won the coin toss. You flip, you catch, his hands on the shoulder, you win the coin toss. Do you want to kick or receive, defend the goal, or defend a choice to the second half? I'm going to say, do you want to receive or defer? And then go from there. If they choose to defer, you step away and you give signal 10, the incomplete pass, the deferred signal has different names, and then you go back to the other captain and you ask the captain the choices of A or B, right? So, and then after they choose again, you go back and you say, what goal do you want to defend? I normally tell my captains, once I got a captain that say they want to receive, I simply ask the other captain, which goal do you want to defend? Or put your backs to the goal you want to defend, and that's it. They put their backs to the goal to defend. Now, when it gets down to this point, when they turn toward their backs to their goal line, I've seen many referees do all kind of variations. There's only 3 different variations. If a captain chooses to receive, you only go to the receiving side and give the receive signal. You do not have to go to the other captain and use the kick signal. That's redundant. And obviously, if they're receiving, that means they're kicking. So you don't have to go to one captain and say receive, and then go to the other captain and say kick. All right? All you got to do is just go to the captain that received. Now, if a captain chooses to kick, all you have to do is go over to the captain that chose to kick and use the kick signal. You do not have to go to the other captain and give the receive signal. You're only going to give one of those signals depending on what choice they made. Okay? Now, the only time that you're going to have 2 different signals if a captain chooses to defend a goal rather than choose B rather than A. So if a captain say, I choose to defend a goal, you go over to that captain, you face the captain's goal line, and you do like a timeout signal. 1, 2, and then you go to the other captain, and you either use the kick signal or the catch signal. But that's the only time you're going to use 2 signals is when a captain chooses to defend a goal, which, again, you very rarely see in high school or youth football. Now, doing the coin toss is very important. Obviously, in 5-man, which this is referring to here, but the pregame is so important during the coin toss. Line judge, head linesman, you don't worry about the coin. I see head linesman, line judge. They want to come to the huddle for the coin toss. That's not where you should be at. One, you should make sure the players stay off the field, and you should be talking to your coaches, setting the standard. Hey, stay off the field. Give me room to work. keep the players back. While the referee and the umpire are administering the coin toss, my wing officials, y'all need to be administering the sideline, giving them instructions. Head linesmen, you should be giving your chain crew their instructions. And we're going to cover the 4 S's that you should be telling your chain crew when we get to how to work the chains in further lessons. But I see chains moving, they shouldn't be moving. Why? Because the head linesman didn't take the time to give instructions to his chain crew, or didn't give instructions to the sideline. They want to be like, oh, I want to know what's going on in the coin toss. No need. You have a job to do, just like the umpire and referee have a job to do as well. All right.
Hey, Andre, what happened when it's 3-man? That's easy.
Hey, sir, I'm not done yet. All your questions. Thank you so much. So that's basically the deal with this, and I think that is it.